Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
This is Discover Crypto, and every day on this channel, we teach you how to make money with digital assets. And folks, we got a major show for this Friday. We got to talk about altcoins. We got to talk about the government shutdown yet again. I know we're tired of talking about it. Aster is dumping. Is it a disaster? Is it going to keep on dumping? And Cardano with some major news with the Hydra upgrade potentially going to 1 million transactions per second. And we're seeing some ETF news on that front. But the major story we're talking about today is a whale, a $11 billion Bitcoin whale is shorting Bitcoin as we speak. What happened last time he shorted? Is he shorting ETH? Is this going to lead to a short squeeze, pumping your coins and then trickling down to your favorite altcoins? Thank you for jumping in. It is a casual Friday. We don't have the necktie on. I was struggling with the top button there, buddy. So hand issues, if you know what I mean. But thank you for jumping in. Hit that like button as soon as you come in, because we got a very, very exciting show today. But before we get into the crypto market cap, I want to look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin doing a little bit of a dump here. This is the 5-minute candles. You see Bitcoin, kind of trading in a boring range, and then massive wicks today. These are some pretty significant wicks for people trying to trade this right now. You can see, not really deviating, and then blasting higher, reckon everybody short. And if you were long, guess what? It came in a lot lower, lower than where we were, wicking below at 6 a.m. this morning. But let's zoom out a little bit on Bitcoin. Let's not worry about the 1 minute or the 5 minute just yet. And you can see Bitcoin still playing around with this area here. It's just kind of getting out of this range. 120, we need to get, I would say, a significant amount above these peaks right here. 124. Hitting 125 isn't enough. Hitting 126, not going to be enough. We need to get to 127, 128, and then we'll start talking about 130. But we'll talk about the short squeeze that might be the fuel for this move here. Let's go to the 4-hour, check on this RSI. And the RSI starting to show some strength. We're starting to cool. We're starting to turn around here. And if we can maintain this momentum on this 4-hour RSI, I would say this will then create that second 4-hour RSI overheated territory. We don't have the lines right here, but oh yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. You can see when we pump into new all-time highs, peak into overbought, peak into overbought, peak into overbought, we normally need to cool down for a bit. And if you look, the cooling down might be coming to an end. It might be time to start ratcheting up that temperature, everybody. We go to the 2-hour, check on that RSI, see if, yeah, we're starting to get some, I would say a little bit of a bull div here, folks. So you might need to jump in on that one. All right, we're going to do a little DCA today. We're going to check in on some of these Litecoins starting to make some moves. I want to talk about the Litecoin Zcash pump narrative. There's a lot of people who think when Litecoin pumps and Zcash pumps, that spells the end of a bull market. And I got the data, so I'm going to talk about that. You're going to have some comments on that. TJ playing hooky today. We're still moving, building. So we have a pretty hard cutoff in about 10 days on the old building. So I think he's meeting with some movers, etc. there. Please, alt season soon. Most alts are still down significantly from the high. We're going to talk about probably some of the altcoins that you're talking about here. And if you own Hut stock, you're doing okay. Hut. Who's watching football this weekend? What's your team? I watched a little football this weekend. I don't really watch too many sports there, but did watch a little bit of the Cowgirls. That's right. Yeah, I'm an old school Cowboys fan, everybody. But we're not going to talk about that. That'll just get painful. It was fun during Troy Aikman. Tony Romo, maybe not so much. All right, let's look at the crypto market cap. So we're going to zoom in. We'll get a little closer here. Check in on Bitcoin. Bitcoin, flat. It is flat. It's flat, everybody. It's a 0% pump here, 0% dump as well, if you're optimistic. ETH is up 0.4%, BNB up 0.8%, Solana up 1%, and Dogecoin with a little bit of a bigger move here, moving 2.5%, now hitting 25 cents. We are in on Doge since 21 cents, and probably looking to roll into maybe some stocks if we get overheated again. Missed the exit at 29 cents from the 21-cent entry there. And Chainlink with a pretty good pump. Now we are in a couple trades here. We're going to talk about those trades, and we might go hard on Aster, everybody. I might just go open an Aster long on L Bank. Seeing an Aster dump here, but let's look at the big gainers and movers so we can see what we're talking about here. Zcash. Woo, buddy. Is Zcash going to spell the end of the market? Stick around for that. But looking at the dumps, Aster is not as bad as Provenance or Mantle. They're down, I would say significantly. Whoa, though. Check out that 1 hour. On the 1 hour, Aster is just getting blasted right now, everybody. So we're going to go ahead and open up L Bank here. We do have a couple small trades. I left them mostly open here so you can kind of see down, I would say, to a 5% pump and a 12% pump with this recent dump. But let's go. We're on Aster. We're on 20X. We're not going crazy. We're just going to go ahead and throw $100 in the casino there. If you want to trade on L Bank, there is a link below. And also, if you want to trade on Aster airdrop coming soon. Breaking news from this morning. They're talking about the Aster airdrop. If you want to get in and trade on Aster, now might be the time. I would say, there's different strategies. You can, eat a little bit on your fees. You lose $1 here, you lose 50 cents here, but open like a 5X long on one platform and a 5X short on another platform. Open them at the same time, close them at the same time. Only thing you're going to lose is fees. Sometimes fees pay you. You'll be paid to keep a position open if you're going against the market. So that is a good airdrop, let's just say, strategy. And there's going to be links for below. But yeah, check out L Bank down below. Now, Aster on the 2 hour, significantly oversold here. Got more oversold than this period right here. Now, this was a nice little bullish divergence. And I could, I will say this is a strong hidden divergence. If we go to the 1 hour, starting to get a little bit of strength here. You can see, creating lower lows. Meanwhile, the RSI is, kind of bottoming out, even heading up right here. And the RSI is still high on Aster there. So that might be something that's going to turn around maybe from around this point. Oh my God. I'm liking what I'm seeing, folks. We're literally coming down and testing the previous area of support. We might have to throw some size on this trade, everybody. Now, I need to focus on that, so I don't want to get into that. We got to look at liquidation heat maps when we start playing with some real size there, but Aster long might be something we have to check in on. Now, let's talk about the main story today. Whales going hard in the, okay, that was good. Aster is an S coin, just like Ondo. I would say Aster is an S coin like BNB, meaning it's not Bitcoin, but that doesn't mean it's going to do pretty terrible. Closing the shorts that don't exist. All right. Hey, if you're closing the shorts, congrats. You're sitting deep in profit there. We like seeing that there. So glad I faded Aster. Well, pre-rich, maybe the fading is going to reverse. You've seen Back to the Future. Now, once you punch Biff, you start to materialize. You start to come back onto that Polaroid. So I would say the fading might be stopping. It might start materializing, everybody. A lot of Binance FUD on crypto Twitter recently. We're going to talk about some of that FUD. We're going to talk about Aster. But let's get into the main story here. The mega whale that wants to be hunted for his blubber. We keep seeing these whales. They go out there and guess what turns? They turn into lamps, okay? They get turned into lamps. Is this guy going to get turned into a lamp like we've seen with so many whales before, losing hundreds of millions of dollars? Probably because they're so visible, they're so large. If you're trading $1,000, $10,000, $100 for sure, you're slipping under everybody's radar. Nobody's worried about you. You're a gnat, you're a fly, you're a fruit fly. But when you're a James Wynn, when you're an $11 billion Bitcoin whale, and you're opening these positions and your address is public and people see your position, you are going to be hunted. They're going to be chucking spears at you. They're going to be hitting you with the harpoon. So let's talk about this guy. Is he going to be harpooned? Is he going to be a Moby Dick here? OG, spoiler alert, OG Bitcoin whale has opened a $329 million, sorry, Herman Melville fans, a $329 million ETH short with a 12x leverage. Okay, his liquidation is going to be 4613. Now, I think I have the ETH chart right here. 4613. He is in profit, folks. He is in profit. Now, this is on the four hour. Let's go to, say, a 10-minute chart here. 46.15. Is that what we're seeing there? 46.15. This is his liquidation. But what we also need to do is look at his entry point. So his entry point, he started shorting entry 43.58, 43.58, 43.32. So he went from, a little bit into the negative, a little bit in the positive, literally just bouncing around his position. He's right here, folks. So right now he is in a little bit of profit there, but it wasn't just ETH. He's doing the same thing with Bitcoin. He increases short position to $750 million. He gets liquidated at 130K Bitcoin, meaning if he doesn't change his position, either add to it or, maybe close partial loss there, he's going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars of Bitcoin to this exchange. That is why this exchange and market makers in general are incentivized to change prices, to manipulate prices. And they do that with things called market makers. They're doing it in the backgrounds. We got some pretty interesting comments here. James Wynn as a psyop. James Wynn was famous beforehand. It was a Pepe whale. So, now if you want to say he's a pay-op, like he's paid to psyop people. I like that theory. Check out Kelly's hot takes, everybody, in the later afternoon streams there. This puppy went long at $1.5669. This better work. Low leverage, folks. Remember, when I was talking about trading Aster, we were doing 2x, we were doing 3x. Basically traded every position into a profit there because, we had time to wait. Also, we got our exposure at, our spot exposure under $1 there. So everything is deep in profit here. Let's see here. At least shave your legs if you're going to wear shorts all day. That was good. You know what? There's a Moon and Papa post I want to share here. Moon and Papa, speaking of shorts, let me get to where I can search here. There we go. Moon and Papa. If you don't know, Moon and Papa and me, we spent a lot of time hanging out on Discover Crypto around the blockchain. That's the guy right here. You might recognize this guy. He's really, really good. He lives in Japan. Speaking of shorts, how long ago was it? I hope it wasn't a super long time ago. Oh, I remember now. It was actually his YouTube video. So I'm going to show his YouTube video a little later. He has the best short thumbnail I've seen in the game. Let's get into this article about the mega whale, this $11 billion Bitcoin whale. He's betting on Bitcoin and ETH correction. Right now, he's around $1 billion in exposure. Now, one of the first moves in 2 months, he's returned to short the market. He's betting on a short-term price decline here. Now, he surfaced 2 months ago. I wish this was me. He surfaced 2 months ago with $11 billion worth of Bitcoin. And then he opened that $1 billion in the shorts. Now, on Friday, we covered this in that post there, 600 million 8x and on Bitcoin, and he also has the 300 million X or short on ETH there, and the ETH short is going to be a 12x. So like we said, he gets liquidated at 4,600 Bitcoin. He's going to get liquidated at 130K. This is what I like. This is the narrative that I like, because right now, I don't know if CZ is going to wake up out of bed, call up his market makers, and be like, we got to short this guy on this competing chain. That's not going to happen. That will not happen. So this won't initiate any kind of manipulation here, but this will initiate the manipulation. The whale shorts bets may inspire more large investors to follow suit and bet on a price decline of these leading cryptos. So if we can get these whales to wake up out of their slumber, start shorting on Binance, start shorting on Hyperliquid, EdgeX, you name it, Aster, shorting on everywhere you can, Bybit. That's when the whales will wake up and say, all right, and by the whales, I mean the exchanges. That's when the exchanges will wake up. CZ is like, yeah, I don't like losing money. I don't want to lose money to this $11 billion Bitcoin whale. I don't want to lose money to the copycats of this guy. I want to wreck these people and I want to steal their Bitcoin. This might be a short squeeze situation, everybody. So I do like what I'm seeing here. Now, let's see here. We got some more comments here. People rolling in. I'm off work. It's World Mental Health Day. You get a holiday. Imagine telling a World War I veteran who, joined the war effort at 16 years old and, 1 month into the battle, loses all ammunition, runs out of ammunition, and then is forced to hand-to-hand combat with the bayonet. And he comes home Clearly, he's going to have a little bit of PTSD. And then you're like, yeah, your great grandchildren are going to get they're going to get a little mental health day. I will say, focus on your health. Health is wealth, everybody. Now, I did say I want to share the Moon and Papa short. This is his short squeeze thumbnail. Bitcoin short squeeze to 124. Moon and Papa, you win short thumb of the day there. All right, so congrats. Pepe is backed by the. I don't know if that's true. Isn't it like a symbol against that? Is what some people might say. So I'm not. I wouldn't agree with that one there. Organic manipulation. I mean, you could call it organic. I really say. Is it really a mental health day? I mean, if you're in a bear market, you do need them. You do need them. Bear market's about to be devastating. Here's the other side of that argument, Pepe. It will be the least devastating bear market as far as percentage drawdown. It'll be the most devastating by the capital outflows. For me, I don't think I'll be in as much pain as the last two there. How do you feel about Polygon? We're going to talk about Polymarket a little bit later. Polygon did do something good for my thesis on crypto. I used to think, all right, we got a lot of sell pressure, only 20% of this coin is in circulation. The VCs, they got this 80% that's going to be vested. Say like Solana, they got tokens vested till 2031. There's going to be sell pressure and cycle after cycle. They're just dumping billions and tens of billions, and all these tokens have yet to be circulated. It's bad. Then I realized, and then I would look at Polygon and be like, oh my God, they're like 95% released. This is so bullish. I underestimated in my youth, all of 4 years ago, last cycle, I underestimated a whale's willingness to pump a coin when they have a vested schedule for 8 years. So if you had Polygon that you're not going to get till 2031, 2028, you're going to pump the crap out of Polygon if you're a billionaire. That's what we see with a lot of these VCs. Now, not all VCs are the same. Some are just going to dump their tokens. They get their tokens on the 15th of the month, and they're dumping those tokens. Other people, say like a Solana whale, they're going to work behind the scenes and create a Solana digital asset treasury company. They're going to literally put $400 million on the line here and say, all right, let's do a subtle takeover of this other scientific equipment company, turn them into a Solana digital asset treasury company. You won't have that with Polygon. And so I'll say good on Polygon for just teaching me about the whale manipulation games here. Let's talk about Bitcoin here. Bitcoin, very bullish metric here. Bitcoin's at an all-time high, and the Mayer multiple is ice cold. This man likes the setup. So Mayer multiple, let's talk about the Mayer multiple here. This is not related to John Mayer. This Bitcoin price can hit 180 before being overbought. It remains closer to oversold during its latest test. So let's get into what is the Mayer multiple, because it is saying, wait, we're closer to oversold than overbought, even though we're at all-time high. Explain this to me, Mayer. Now, it's ice cold. It says it's classic price metric showing room to run to 180. Mayer multiple measures the ratio of its 200-week moving average. So you're just looking at the average price over the last roughly 4 years. Now, readings above 2.4, reflecting a price 2.4x higher than the moving average trend line, suggests overbought. Now, currently, it's only at 116, currently closer to the oversold level at 0.8 than that, which typically signifies a bearish trend change. Now, I think they have we could zoom in on the chart a little bit here. This is that 200-week moving average. 200-week moving average, probably, because this is weird. Oh, 200-day moving average. Okay, excuse me, 200-day, not week. I don't know where, did the article say week? Why was I saying week there? But the 200-day moving average isn't as high as a lot of people would be thinking here. It says week here, so I don't know. I knew that price was a little. All right, so now we're here in conflicting situations here, but 200-week would not be this. This would be the 200-day. This gives you a level down here. When you get really, really high compared to where this moving average is, you go above this trend line here. You go above that trend line. That's a classically oversold metric there. And then you can go, or overbought, and then it goes into oversold. And it is a pretty good, I would say, gauge, because you're using such a large moving average. it gives you a pretty good just reflection of the market there. All right, let's look at Bitcoin and gold this weekend. People in the chat, they're talking about talk about silver, talk about gold. We want another precious metals Bitcoin chart or some sort of narrative. Talk to me here. This weekend, I'm going to talk about that. So turn on notifications. We're going to put it out tomorrow morning at the same time we put out this stream, 10:30 a.m. Doing a lot of research on this one. Wait till you see what I have to say about gold, folks. It is going to shock you. It will shock you with what I'm about to show. Let's see here. Oh, it basically points at a $250,000 Bitcoin. Okay. I'll front run. You guys are here. You're watching in the live stream. I do appreciate it, especially if you're watching, you know, as a replay. 250K Bitcoin. It really isn't that crazy a moon math either. We talk about the Bitcoin gold chart or gold, Bitcoin gold chart, and it measures the amount of ounces of gold you get per Bitcoin, and it's in a very classic triangle trading pattern, and that classic triangle trading pattern has probabilities. We just look at the probabilities. It has a average pump. It's 35%. I do some math, and let's just say it comes out of 250K here. Keep them super high coming, because when 130 is the top for Bitcoin, I need bag holders for the bear market. I got DCA and Prey getting out of 130. Depending on your entry point, that's great advice. Great advice. Now, if you jumped in at 110, maybe be a 5-year holder, a 2-year holder here. Will Polkadot stop being Polkadot? Polkadot. Well, their hotter parachain, Phala, switched to an ETH2 today. So that's not what you want to see there. Thoughts on the Near move? Is Near making a major move today? What are we seeing with Near? Let me see. Typing in Near. Near is making a major move. Yeah, we like Near. Near is one of the ones that we covered. And I want to say the AI altcoin video. And Near's a solid project. It was around $20. Now, if you look at market cap, let me zoom out a little. There we go. If you look at market cap, it doesn't look as quite a good as a pump there. Because think we're $20 right now. We're $3. I mean, you're looking at like a 6x, not quite 7x there with the 18 cents, 7x almost. But if you go to the price, we're only at 12 billion, and the market cap is 4 billion. So that 6x turns into a 4 or a 3x. Still bullish. Still bullish. I'm not going to say a projected $9 Near is bearish. I do think Near has a pretty good shot at hitting around $9 there. But back to gold. We're into tomorrow's video. We're going to go into the math of it. But gold is part of a narrative, and that narrative is debasement trade. And we're not talking about blockchain basement, although they are based over there. Now we're talking about debasing of currency. And when I show you what's happened just in the last 24 hours with currency, you're going to be a little disgusted, everybody. Let's see. Get into the comments before we get into that. I have a little Matic. Real fall from gray seems like a no-brainer, but it did a whole lot of nothing this cycle. You know where the money is going instead of Polygon? It's going into Polymarket equity. Polymarket's raising billions valuation, raising hundreds of millions. And it's like, you got some Polygon whale who's like super bullish on Polygon, and they're like, yeah, I'll just invest in Polymarket instead. Like, no, go buy $100 million worth of Poly or Matic there. Help us out here. Math on a napkin. It's better than something else on a napkin there. Polkadot looking for any way that can be relevant again. I do like Gavin. Gavin is a co-founder of Ethereum. He's the founder of Polkadot. He's a very smart individual. He's going into wolf mode. There's a lot of altcoins, though. There's just a lot of altcoins. There's a lot of competition out there. Did I get in on XCL? I did not. I hope you did if it did well, and I hope you didn't if it did poorly. All right, debasement trade is no longer a debate, and TradFi knows it. So your money being debased is no longer theoretical. It's no longer speculation. It's concrete. It is happening, and we can see it left and right. And I would say the number one way I would gauge that is Chinese central bank. They're dumping U.S. treasuries. They're buying tons and tons of gold. Kind of tells you everything you need to know there. Now, financial institutions are waking up to the debasement trade, which could be a boon for assets such as gold and Bitcoin. There's a quote from Anthony Pompliano. It's the same thing that gold bugs and Bitcoiners have been talking about for years. And now institutions have just realized that no one is ever going to stop printing money. This is the main takeaway. The cat is out of the bag. The monkey's out of the cage. The genie is out of the cartoon. Shout out to Robin Williams. That's my genie. Sorry, Will Smith. But the cat's not going back into the bag. The monkey doesn't go back into the cage. This now feels like there's no longer a debate about this. People realize the dollar and bonds are going to have a lot of trouble moving forward, and therefore Bitcoin and gold are definitely benefiting. We see that with the price action, all-time highs across the board. Now, this is from On-Ramp Bitcoin CSO Brian Kubelis. Recognition of the debasement trade is accelerating for a simple reason. Deficits mount, debt stacks higher, and accommodative policy suppresses real yields. By accommodative policy suppressing real yields, they essentially mean the market has a rate for money. When you buy a T-bill, you buy a bond, you're buying these notes here. You're paying for future money. It's the time value of money is kind of what we're talking about here. So there's a price on money. I'm going to give you $10. You pay me back in a year. There's a price for that. And the market knows how to price things. Supply and demand. It's really, free market capitalism is the only way we can value scarcity. But when you have the government coming in and changing market forces, that's when you end up, suppressing real yields. That's what he's saying. Money is looser and more, I would just say, expensive because they're printing so much of it. The need for a return on money when you borrow it out, there's just a high expectation, and the government's trying to keep that down. They want to, we're so massively in debt. We have huge interest payments. Okay, we have a lot of debt. We have U.S. government has a house mortgage, and it has credit cards maxed to the nines. Everything is starting to, the market wants to creep up these interest rates. Visa, they want to start charging America more money for that debt, but America's doing everything in their power and their ability to keep those yields suppressed. So it's really just going to end one way. It's going to be a debasement of your currency there. Now, Henry Ho here, the CFO of Blink Wallet, it's anti-debasement by design. Talking about Bitcoin here. Fixed supply, transparent issuance, and trustless verification. He said is the purest expression of capital preservation in a world where money itself is being repriced. Now, I was going to read Arthur Hayes' post, his big vlog there. It's super long, a little dense there, but one of the main takeaways I took from that is he had an interesting theory. We don't know how, this is just a cool quote. This isn't the theory there, but this is from that article, from that essay. Bitcoin in the current state of human civilization is the best form of money ever created. One of the things I spent a lot of time thinking about this, I actually kind of paused reading and just kind of thought about it. He said, since we don't live in a utopian sci-fi society, think of, droids doing everything and the Jetsons, you hit a button and you get your perfect omelet there. Because we don't live in that world, we can't give a value to scarcity. We don't understand scarcity. Bitcoin is fixed scarcity. So as we move to a world of abundance, we move to a world of AI helping out, processes across the board, whether it's food, whether it's healthcare, whether it's entertainment. We got Tesla Optimus robots that are picking up your groceries. You are that thing in the movie Up. You're a slug on your couch locked into the metaverse. In that world, scarcity won't exist. There won't be scarcity, except for in few examples. Bitcoin is one of those examples. So we don't actually know how to even value scarcity because we're not in this utopian society. When we're in a utopian society, that's when people will put a real value on scarcity. Because, in this world that you envision, you're mining gold from asteroids. You got robots on Mars, and they're extracting mineral ore, and you got things on the bottom of the ocean, and there's no, shortage of food. There's no shortage of clothing. There's no shortage of shelter, but there will be a shortage of Bitcoin, and no one is pricing that in this utopian society here. All right. What just happened? You hit the like button. That is what happened. If everybody can hit the like button, I would really appreciate that. Dot, man, you guys really talking about Dot. All right. I'm going to ask you a question here. I'm not a ones in the chat guy. I'm a yes or a no guy. So type in yes, type in no, or type in Y, type in N. If you bought Dot Do you still hold it or did you dump it? So type in yes if you're still holding DOT. Type in no if you bought but you dumped it. If you've never bought DOT, don't type anything. Maybe like I've never bought or whatever. But let me know. Have you bought DOT and have you dumped it? I'm gonna go ahead. I'll start. I've bought and I've dumped. I got out of the ecosystem, man. When I was kind of consolidating my altcoins here. So looking at some of the comments here. Yes, you dumped it. No, still holding. Dumped it. Dumped it. Holding, dumped it. I'm still holding, dump. And we got some more dumps there. So we got you ones and twos, people. How dare you? People dumped it. Never bought, but I bought some micro dots. Okay. See, were you on Silk Road? Wait a minute. I'm still waiting for my refund there. I'm just kidding, everybody. All right, let's talk about, back to the debasement, back to your fiat is broken. TJ posted this here. Major cracks in the fiat system showing. What is he talking about here? U.S. Treasury is talking about buying Argentinian pesos here. So they finalized a $20 billion currency swap with Argentina's central bank. And so, like TJ's point, should have bought 20 billion in Bitcoin, not Argentine pesos. Ooh, Javier Milei. TJ's taking shots here. But it didn't stop there. They didn't stop at the pesos. They would then spend another $80 billion. They also bought Turkish lira, they bought Nigerian naira, and they bought the Egyptian pound. So they're investing $100 billion across these following currencies here. Now, I like this one. Bold move, betting on currencies that make monopoly money look stable. Yeah, they obviously should have bought Bitcoin. This isn't about a return on investment. They're marketing it as a return on investment. They're like, we're going to get our money back immediately. This is not about a return on investment. It's about helping out these individual nations. Now, the plus and the bad is like, all right, the bad is they're lying to us about, we're doing this for America's bottom line. That's not what it's about. The plus side is, if I had to, steel man the other side, we give money and get a lot less to other nations. So at least with this, we're like getting their dumping currency. And I'm not, I think it's fair to call this a dumping currency. U.S. Treasury aped into one of these charts. And you wonder why the U.S. dollar is not getting better. Why? Because we're creating a strategic peso reserve instead of buying the Bitcoin reserve there. So it's not about a return on investment. Clearly buying Bitcoin would be better, but it's better than getting nothing. It's better than getting nothing. At least we're getting something there. No, at Rocky Nar. No, don't bring that one up. Hey, I got a couple of those I could sell you there. Let's see here. Egyptian pounds. If I said a hotel room, 7-star means I am good positioned. Maybe I'm going to my honeymoon next week. Going to Cabo San Lucas, and the cartels just laid out a flag over a highway overpass a couple days ago and said, Americans don't come. I'm like, that's just great, man. That's just great. That's not what I wanted to hear, but I'm going anyways. All right, I'm going to come. I'm going to wear a Rambo bandana. And if the Sinaloa cartel, no, I should chill out, man. I should chill out. We don't want DZ to be hanging from an overpass here. Whoa. All right. The president. Now, all right, our currency is failing. And then we're like dumping our currency into currencies that are failing even worse than ours, suggesting the currency failing is just going to keep accelerating. But the president is literally telling you where to invest. This is kind of where some of the money's been rolling up. The U.S. AI, chips, space, crypto, energy, drones, robotics, defense, healthcare, rare earths, manufacturing, self-driving cars. Don't overcomplicate it. Chat, tell me you think the best investment related to this, not crypto. I'll give you a few seconds before I share my answer here. Although I guess you can say it's tangentially related to crypto. But what do you think of the Trump pump besides crypto? What are you buying to position yourself with our new socialistic regime where we're spending U.S. taxpayer money on private enterprises for ownership? At least we're not seizing the means of production, with boot jack thugs on the ground. But at the end of the day, it does come off a little it comes off a little socialistic to me here. Let's see here. Why can't DZ win? Uranium, Tesla. That was going to be my choice. Tesla, copper. All right. Chips. Okay. So you buying Frito-Lay or are you talking about like NVIDIA here? Defense. I like Anduril. And I hate, I like Palmer Luckey, Palantir, you know, they're going to be part of the surveillance state. So that's probably going to be a good one there. I look what Trump just said on his platform about China, True Social. If you want to share the True Social link, I wouldn't mind looking at that there. Intel, someone's getting Intel, Tesla. Oh, Lay's, Pringles, and Doritos. Okay, thanks for answering which chips it was there. Let's see. Someone's saying AOC literally wants to seize the means of production. I would want a quote. Give me a quote there, and maybe I could check that out. All right. So someone's saying Kobe Essie has posted it. So we'll share the Kobe Essie here. I do like Kobe Essie letter. It's a good account. Got a lot of good information on just financials, and I like probably bastardizing the pronunciation there. Kobe Essie, E-S-E. I feel like I'm saying the I and the E backwards there. All right, break in. S&P 500 falls in seconds after Trump publishes the below paragraph. He says he's calculating increased tariffs on Chinese products. So there's no reason to meet Chinese President Xi anymore. Yeah, there's a little bit of some trade talks. China's Xi, I wasn't even going to talk about this today, but he basically created a system to make exports of rare earth minerals a little bit harder, slow the process down, slowing the export of these rare earth minerals to America. I would say this is a retaliatory measure in response to that. And yeah, the markets probably are not liking what's happening here. All right, so 2 hour looking like it's dumping. It looks like we found maybe a little bit of a bottom there. And so Aster, is it a bigger disaster? That's actually not that bad. That's not that bad. It's not as bad as Bitcoin's dump. So that's maybe actually showing, that's actually a sign of strength. It dumped less, not as hard as Bitcoin. Whoa. Yeah, not nearly. That's a 1 minute chart. That's a 1 minute chart. I'm liking the Aster trade even more now, even more. So maybe you jumped in, you know, oh my God, imagine if you jumped in right there. It dumped. You want to cut your losses and run. It vastly overperformed Bitcoin on that news. It's no guarantee that it's going to pump, but I would say it's high odds it's going to pump relative to Bitcoin there. So China, Trump, U.S. trade deal is escalating. Does not seem like it's going to be slowing down anytime soon. That's just going to be par for the course there. So it isn't surprising that the markets are dumping off of this news, though. Let's see. Some strange things happen. Becoming hostile, sending letters to countries. They want to impose export controls. This is what I was talking about earlier on every element of production having to do with rare earths, virtually anything else they can think of, even if it's not manufactured in China. All right. So if you don't know, the refinement of these rare earth metals, vast majority of the refinement is done in China. And so you might be extracting from Kazakhstan or, you know, Ethiopia or maybe even Canada. You got to send it to China. And now, you know, they got a bottleneck. I mean, China has been, for the last 2,000 years, has been the richest nation for most of that time. They were the richest nation for most of the last 2,000 years. They've taken a 500-year break. They've cooled off for 5 centuries. It does look like they're going to be taking that title yet again. To me, it's not even debatable. It is math because they have 1.5 billion people. And so they could have a much smaller GDP than us. It's the math comes out. They're gonna end up beating us there. Now, we do have some good news for Bitcoin Jesus here. Bitcoin Jesus to settle U.S. tax and fraud charges. So shout out to Roger Ver. Roger Ver finally gets this entanglement behind him. Kind of like Jada Pinkett, you know, it's in the past now. No more worries about this entanglement here. But he's called Bitcoin Jesus due to his early evangelization for the crypto. He was indicted last April, arrested in Spain because he failed to file tax returns after he sold tens of thousands of Bitcoin. This is early in Bitcoin, but basically he gave up his U.S. citizenship. When you give up U.S. citizenship, you have a exit tax. They look at all your dollars. And they're like, all right, you're leaving out our front door. Give me this much of the money you have. And they say he lied. They say he lied about the amount of Bitcoin he had. I don't want to speculate, But human incentives are human incentives, and I'd be surprised if there's a wallet he forgot about. Like, oh, I forgot about that wallet, tax man, IRS. I forgot. I didn't even say it was in a boat accident. I forgot it was on that laptop. He's been fighting this for a long time, about a decade. He fought his extradition. He filed a lawsuit against the U.S. earlier this summer, and he is now settled. He's now going to pay $48 million in the taxes he allegedly owes. Is it a coincidence that Bitcoin's 120K and now he's like, all right, I'll pay my tax bill? It's actually a great strategy. You push it off. And then you're like, okay, I guess I could cover my tax bill now. So congrats, Roger Ver. I looked into it. It's a Trump. It's crony. It's Trump, man. It was Roger Stone. Roger Stone set this up. Roger Ver paid Roger Stone. Roger Stone then lobbied President Trump. Roger Stone is friends with Trump. So, I'm not going to say like Roger Stone, like gave him like a little box with like a freaking hard drive on there. And all of a sudden, it's like some of Roger Ver's Bitcoin on there. But, maybe Barron got it. I'm kidding. I don't think that happened, but it's a little suspicious that, he paid Roger Stone and then it ends up happening there. Now let's see here. Trump saying, yeah, we just read his comment there. Sounds like John McAfee. Yeah, minus the hammock. Don't Google that. Do not Google John McAfee hammock. Do not Google John McAfee hammock. Okay, I am warning you. This is a severe warning. This is a Category 5 hurricane knocking on your door. Do not Google John McAfee hammock. All right, looks like this head disappears. There's like some other type of skin. What are you talking about? No, that's just bad quality photo there. All right, yeah. Some of you guys are Googling that. I told you not to here. All right, here. H3 is more sought after than lithium. That's why I switched to copper, palladium. Helium is interesting. Don't get me started on helium, man. I'll talk about helium for 10 minutes, but we got to talk about crypto here. Now you must search it up. Don't do it. Stop. I told you not to. You don't have to. You don't have to do all the things. DC Alden, you don't have to do it. Okay. What's a hammock? No, that's a ham hock. Hammock. All right. Look, I'm from the South. Okay. Just bear with me. All right. Let's talk about Polymarket here. And then we're going to go a little background. The Polymarket founder's story is one of the more captivating founder stories in all of crypto here. But there's a little arbitrage. TJ's always talking about this Polymarket arbitrage. There is arbitrage in Polymarket here. Polymarket user found out who won the Nobel Peace Prize 11 hours before the comment from the Nobel Committee. They got front ran by the autistic kids on the internet. It was traded at 8 cents and then rose to $1, 100x gain for those who got in early. So I guess it was trading at a penny before it was trading at 8 cents. Now, for those who are wondering, Trump did not win the Nobel Peace Prize. Every week, they become more of a real-time truth engine, predicting events before they go public. This was another example. Now, I want to open this image as large as possible. This is the odds. I feel like that was, I don't want to say a clear sign, Donald Trump. I don't want to say that's a clear sign that that person was going to win. But that does scream of manipulation. And especially that dip, that looked like a pretty good opportunity there. It looks like it went up to right around 45%, dipped all the way down, probably around 35, about 35%, maybe even like 30% there, and then skyrocketed up to 75%. Go ahead, take your profit. You had another opportunity to get in on the dip, and then it settled at 100. Polymarket, do not fade Polymarket. We saw with the previous election, very, very accurate. But now let's go into a very fascinating story here. So this is talking about Polymarket's founder here. Columbus Day, going to be wild. Do not fade Indigenous Peoples Day. No, it's Columbus Day. I'm a quarter Italian. It's Columbus Day in my household. It stays Columbus Day, and you're never going to change my mind on that one. Pinta, Cinta, Santa Maria. I'm a bake a cake with that written on there. Mr. Super Chat from Pedro. Thanks for the heads up there. I'm looking. Is it start? All right. How do you stay bullish when good news only dumps? It's a good question. How do you stay bullish when good news only dumps? Well, a good answer would be don't. But a smarter answer would be don't let I don't want to say this is happening to you, but is there a chance there's headline manipulation happening? Maybe there's a situation of reading more into the headlines and the substance of the article, not doing that second and third order effect there. But also remember, when you see a dump and you see a headline, the dump might be totally uncorrelated to that headline and might just be CZ calling the market maker and saying dump Solana or dump ETH or dump Bitcoin or too many people go long. Seeing signs of a bull market or, what you think should be a bull market, legal legislation, we got the Clarity Act, we got the Genius Act that has passed. Clarity Act potentially passes this month. We have these ETFs all going, we might have a flurry of ETFs once the government shutdown ends. We have, monetary debasement happening left and right. We have silver all-time high, gold all-time high, stock market still continuing to pump. We have, the cash system is floating around, it's just increasing and increasing. And we're seeing more signs that it's going to increase. Business cycle gearing up. Don't get mad about a couple red candles. Don't even get mad at a little pullback there. Do we have to stay above 119? No, we don't. We can dip all the way to 105 and the bull market's still on. We dipped all the way to 74K and the bull market was still on. I will say now there are levels like if we don't stay above 119, then we dump to 115. I'll give you those, but I'm not the guy that will say, oh, if we don't hold this bull market over. People saying that are maybe just trying to be a little alarmist there. Get mad at your mom, not crypto. My mom passed, but I do think about her often. It was her birthday not that long ago. Losers don't get to name the day. I like that one. Thanks for spreading copiism, I guess you're saying there, Britton. I'm feeling super about this chat. Well, I read it, so I hope you feel a little bit better. Yeah, that was a Tony Soprano quote. Great show. 105 would wreck a lot of people for sure, but it also give Wall Street a cheaper entry. So maybe that's why it's something you need to think about there. Let's see. Yeah, it was. I was in my 20s. It was a long time. I've come to terms for sure. But thank you for the support there. All right, the dip was because of the Trump post, right? Yeah, that's a little bit of going to be a China FUD there, China freak out. All right, let's get into karmic debt with that super chat, Jack. What? I don't even know what you mean by that there. I had a dream Cardano went to $8. Now you know. All right, well there you go. Why near moving today? Because I told you it was going to pump in a video last week. So don't fade the DZ uploads there. All right, let's talk about Near's probably just pumping off the AI news, or honestly a couple whales. That's really what it is. Embedded Element USA partnership. Haven't looked into that. Embedded Element, is that like the company name, or you're not talking about rare earth elements? I don't think. All right, now back to Polymarket. Let's see here. This is a very fascinating story. I'm going to run through this real quickly. His name's Shane. He was born in 1998, Upper West Side. At 16, he got into the ETH pre-sale. He was the youngest participant ever. He got his ETH at 30 cents. Fast forward, he's at NYU Computer Science. University can't contain the vision, so he drops out, and his parents aren't happy. 2.5 years later, still nothing to show, almost burned out. He's literally selling belongings to pay rent. Friends thinks he's done. Now, if you're wondering about, well, he got in at the ICO at 30 cents, and then he's broke 2.5 years later. It's not a lot of info on that, but it suggests to me that he sold his ETH super early. Now, 2020, you know what hits. World goes insane. Misinformation everywhere. Traditional media lying. Polls completely wrong, which is a thing that we started seeing more of. Who, what to trust. Shane sees the signal through the noise. He leads a prediction market research. Light bulb moment. What if money plus opinions equals truth? Lockdown begins. Perfect time. And he launches Polymarket from a bathroom office. He's locked in. He's grinding 8-10-hour days. Friends don't get it. It's just gambling, dude. But while others chase meme coins, he built the future of information. $4 million seed round drops. Polychain's involved. Naval Ravikant is involved. Naval has been the biggest Zcash bull lately, too. Very, very bullish on Zcash. Still working from the bathroom. Founder arc begins. 2020 election, 1.3 million volume in a day. Then 22 comes. CFTC comes. They fine him. Ban U.S. users. Haters thought it was over. But then we go from 1.3 million in 2020 to 1.4 or 3.2 billion in 2024. He predicted Trump victory. Polymarket single-handedly called the election. Fast forward later that same month, FBI raids his apartment at 6 a.m. This is still under the Biden Department of Justice. Seizes his phone, seizes his laptop. Deep State not happy about being exposed. I remember this tweet. We covered it. He tweets out, "New phone, who dis?" Then, let's just say 6 months into the Trump administration, investigations drop. CFTC approval, returns back to America. It's on South Park, literally making the meta here. Now he's gone to $2 billion raised on a $9 billion valuation at 27 years old, became the youngest self-made billionaire in history. And you can't even hit the like button. Just hit the like button, everybody. Then you're going to feel as good as he did, creating a $9 billion company from his bathroom. Smash that like button. I want to see these likes start to spike. There's no reason why we can't hit 27 million likes, everybody. Let's see. Read some of these comments. Is XPL good DCA? I think so. I think so. So I can't give you financial advice. It's backed by Tether at the end of the day. So it's hard to fade the most profitable company in the world there. Let's see here. We look into the US Seals partnership. I haven't seen anything on that. 10x on my ETH, dumped it all at $3. That's probably what happened there. The guy was living in New York City. He's living in, I think the Upper West Side is where he was born, but NYU's and there's a Brooklyn campus at least there. So, I mean, either way, he's in an expensive place. It was supposed to be called the Plan. That was good. That was good. All right, you got me there. Let's see. Friends, when you're down bad, he better have remembered them. Especially if he sold all his ETH at $3. Man, I bought your lunch. Remember when I bought your lunch? Well, inflation, I need 0.1% of equity of Polymarket. It's just fair. It's just fair. Let's see. 1% would be 90 million. So 0.1% is 9 million. What's 9 million between friends? I bought you that avocado toast, okay, in Brooklyn. Remember, that was a very expensive meal. That was a very expensive meal, Sean. You owe me 9 million in equity. I'm waiting. Yeah, that'd be me. Who does his hair? Caroline Ellison. Caroline Ellison is his barber. Bitcoin's next move is happening now. You could say that forever until infinity, right? Aster death. Short it. All right. Stay calm, everybody. Don't FOMO trade. I just want to share this. Look at this guy's buys and sells. He started buying the dip. BNB holder. Remember we covered the meltdown of the Binance memes, Binance Smart Chain, all it's just getting wrecked left and right there. He's like, oh yeah, I'm buying the dip. He ran out of dry powder. I'm selling the dip. I share this to show he sold the exact bottom, the literal bottom. He created the bottom there. Just a little food for thought. If you're wondering the numbers, he turned $576,000. He turned a little over $500,000 into $140,000. So he ended up losing over 420. Rough. That is rough. Now, speaking of Aster, y'all talk about Aster. The Aster airdrop checker is now live. You can go check it there. We have an Aster link down below. If you want to trade on Aster, join our team. I just threw it out as a whim. A couple people really stepped up, started trading. So we get the max bonus on Aster airdrop. They have a thing if like your group of people, you get a multiplier, max Aster multiplier. So check it out. But there is a airdrop eligibility, and it looks like 150,000 wallets qualified. So if you use Aster, go check it out. Best to get Cardano at midnight with your pet snack. I like your Cardano. Mr. Drip drops here with the Cardano puns, with the ADA puns. We got some ADA news. ADA news coming around the corner here. We're going to be dropping ADA news in about 3 minutes or less. Now, this is just an Aster thesis. This guy, Quentin, he's an ETH, I would say a KOL. A lot of people know him in the ETH circles here. Co-founder of a couple projects there. We bought more Aster at $1.54, spot and 2x. Wait, remember what I say. don't trade Aster with a lot of leverage, folks. Way oversold, and the market's acting like a wet ass P word because of the airdrop. They'll be tradable in 4 days. So there is an airdrop. Now, remember what we said. The airdrop, people are like, oh, they're going to get all this Aster and they're going to dump it. You could trade your Aster already on Aster. So if these people, they have a lot of Aster and they want to sell it, yeah, they can go ahead and do it. So there's not people like waiting for it to sell, but there are going to be airdrop people that are going to sell it there. So I will give you that. There will be, the airdrop will be tradable in 4 days. Aster is tradable today. But guess what? Binance farmed their own airdrop and will receive most of it. And other people receiving it won't even consider selling at current prices. CZ and Binance will do everything in their power to pump this past hype. They literally don't even have a choice. People don't understand this. Buybacks are coming too and will be millions per day. Markets are overreacting on the airdrop being tradable. It'll be a big nothing burger, and the price will pump on the 14th, not dump. Bookmark this. That's a bold prediction. That is a bold prediction. I think we're going to get both. Now, where it ends up 24 hours later, I don't think anyone knows for sure. But if you long it, you will get liquidated. If you short it, you will get liquidated. How? It's going to do this. It's going to do this. It is going to be designed to wreck you. I would not be trading this with high leverage. I'm not going to be day trading. That is not a scalp trade. Be very, very careful there. Let's see. This run is over, fellas. It does not pay you well to be a bear in a bull market and to predict the top, 72 hours after all-time high. A little bit more than that, sure, but yeah, that's a bold prediction, Cotton. Let's see how that one plays out there. 2-day correction near the end of the bull market, right before the parabolic pump, and people want to quit every cycle. He's talking to you. He's talking to you. I don't think the cycle's over, everybody. I know someone on 4chan predicted the top. Okay, they were just counting 1,064 days. Maybe it's that easy. I don't know, with BlackRock having like record inflows the following day. So maybe you know better than the hive mind, but it is going to be tough. Now to Hyperliquid, they are getting a little bit more bullish. They're doing some pretty cool stuff. They're going to have based streams. It's going to be a DEX-powered live streaming platform. So taking on Pump.fun. Got a little battle brewing here. Get off my screen, old man. What are you doing? I'm an old man too. I don't mean to be ageist. DZ's being ageist. I was talking about Zcash. Not even looking at my bags right now. That's typically pretty good. Buying dips, ADA, AVAX, probably going to pay well on that thought, or on the narrative of ETFs. Thoughts on XCL? I haven't really looked into it too much. But Zcash, this is a lot of the narrative that you're seeing. Zcash pumps, that's a sign that the market's over. Don't you idiots know it? It does it every time. You're so stupid for not knowing it. Is that true, though? Zcash broke its 8-year downtrend after 280% monthly gains. Last time Zcash led privacy coins this hard, Bitcoin corrected 35 cents or 35% within 3 weeks. All right, let's get into the freaking math here. We don't trust, we verify. Zcash did some terrible stuff price-wise. And then it did some magnificent stuff price-wise. Is that really the dump? Okay. I did get a little exposure at 160. Okay, that's 25% dump from the top there. But Zcash had a run up, but it had a mega red day. Mega red day. And so this is kind of the prediction here. So like when you get a Zcash dump, that's the sign. That's the sign the market's over. Well, the thing is, this literally is every single coin. This does not tell us anything. Every coin pumped into this, and every coin dumped on May 19th, 2021. I looked at several alts. I looked at ETH. I looked at Cardano. But I just want to show you one. I'm not going to look at all the charts, but we are going to look at total chart. This is everything. This is a crypto total market cap. Everything did that. Everything dumped May 19th. Now, Zcash dumped harder. It dumped really hard, actually. If you measure just, from this wick down to the bottom wick, 60% in 1 day. Holy crap. Zcash dumps 60% in a day. That's why if you're way up Take that freaking profit. But what did the rest of the market do? 60% in one day is just insane. But the total market fell 40% in a single day. So everything got blasted. Everything was hit hard. Everything was over. I remember coming into the office on that day. TJ was there with you know who, and it was a somber mood when I rolled in. I'm rolling in like 8:30 in the morning or whatever. And I remember being a little excited. I remember, all right, guys, what are we buying? And that's what I said, right? I went in, I was like, all right, guys, what are we buying on this dip? And that's what the first thing I said when I walked into the office. I'm like full of energy. And I'm like, woo, red day. The views are going to be high. I'm like, what are we buying? TJ and the other guy, they're just there in front of their computers like this. They're looking at like, what do we do? What do we do? They're talking about swapping alts into Bitcoin. Like, are the alts going to get wrecked harder? Or should we just swap into Bitcoin? Well, it was pretty close to the bottom for everything though. So honestly, if you went into Bitcoin, you went into alts, if you timed it right, you had a great run up later on in the year there. So Zcash dumping the market, man, it's really not actually that accurate there, folks. Carlos, I love Carlos. Carlos is a good guy, man. That was a lot of yeah, you guys are going to try to get me sidetracked here. Let's talk about Cardano. Oh, I'm focused in now. Aha, you try to distract me, but then I had a Cardano article. You cannot distract me when I got to talk about ADA. Will Cardano ETF be approved this year amid the shutdown? Well, the fast track approval process could be stymied by potential government shutdown affecting applications like Cardano's. Polymarket now has a 36% chance of a month-long government shutdown. Before we get into this, let's actually check here. Now, the ETF narrative is pretty interesting. On the shutdown, okay. So we got 10 to 29 days, slightly higher odds than 30 plus. So, the markets are saying it's going to resolve sometime soon. But what's increasing? Oh, no. I guess that makes sense mathematically because we're getting closer to 29 days. So obviously, I guess the odds are going to shift there. So never mind, there's nothing there. But yeah, we're seeing, most people thinking it's going to shut down under a month there. But after approving, these generic listing standards to fast track these ETFs, traders, 90% odds ADA's ETF arrives by the end of the year. But with a 36% chance of the month-long government shutdown, the 10% no side could be a smart play, even though absurdly fast approvals can't happen when the lights are out. And so you could bet on Cardano not getting its ETF. It's going to pay you 10 to 1. And with the shutdown, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's like I love Cardano so much. It seems weird to bet against it, like getting this bullish narrative, this bullish catalyst. But that might be a pretty good trade there. But back to Cardano, major news here. You know what, though? Yeah, the markets are saying F you. That's what some of the comments said. Maybe. Cardano did just do a major upgrade today. Hydra version 1.0 just dropped. It's going to make Cardano a lot faster. In testnet, it's been benchmarked at 1 million transactions per second. So Cardano is about to massively upgrade. I went to GitHub here. This is like the actual code that you can download if you want to. You can go to GitHub. You can look into it. And it shows you all the things that are happening with this midnight upgrade. None of this stuff is going to be exciting for retail or, like, hey, guys, aren't you excited about the bug fixes for incremental commits, decommits? Yeah. I mean, put that next to my proto dank sharding t-shirt, like things that get me really hot and bothered for crypto. But the 1 million TPS has been shown, has been executed, and they did this via a Doom tournament. Each frame was a transaction on the Cardano testnet, on the Hydra testnet. That's a major catalyst for Cardano. Now, obviously, the other missing piece of this puzzle, stablecoin. We're hearing rumors, tier 1 stablecoin coming. Oh my God, folks. I actually almost didn't even share my info. I have insiders. at Cardano. These insiders talk to me. I am a Cardano stake pool operator. So I'm plugged in with a lot of the engineers and a lot of the devs. If you do want to stake your Cardano, stake to DZ pool, okay, DEEZY. I don't know if I am supposed to share this. No, it's not Mr. X. This is actually in a video call and I'm looking at the person, right? I don't want to reveal who they are, what they work in, whom I spoke to is not really that important here. But this is a rumor that there's a tier 1 stablecoin. I heard a rumor that they know who. I don't even know if I can share this. I'm going to. I might get in trouble. I might get an angry email. I don't care. I don't care. Disco fam, I care more about you than I care about, some tersely worded email. I told you not to tell anybody. I'm telling you, okay? Now, hopefully they keep giving me some of this alpha. You ready? You ready? USDT 0. Oh, crap. That's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. Hold on. Let me actually go to their real thing here. USDT 0. Okay. So this is going to be the, let's just say, here we go. A Tether subsidiary. They do everything in their power to make it seem like, oh yeah, we didn't invest in it. Motherfucker, you invested in this. This is bringing the largest stablecoin in the world, USDT, and the oldest store of value to the popular blockchains. It is a unified protocol for Tether and gold. So is this essentially, so if you don't know, Tether is buying physical gold. Tether has a lot of moving parts here. They buy US treasuries. They buy investment in companies. They buy precious metals and custody. They do crazy stuff. One of the things they are doing, they're working with the tokenization of gold. I think people are going to be a little bit more inclined to trade tokenized gold than paper gold. I think paper gold has a black eye, what the JP Morgan did and Lehman Brothers. There's a lot of weird manipulation with paper gold. Someone will get 1 ounce of gold or silver, and then they'll make umpteen paper certificates of that same ounce. And they trade it all around. But this crypto gold, in a weird way, is actually more transparent and easier to believe than the financial legacy system there. So Tether's working with tokenizing gold, and Tether is working with obviously stable coins and US treasuries, but they're also doing some things in the background, kind of merging this. Now, I haven't done the deep dive on this, but you can kind of learn more. Just type in USDT 0, and there's going to be potentially this stablecoin on Cardano. Now, this is a quote from the CEO of Tether, a much needed solution for seamless USDT movement, blah, blah, blah. So tier 1 stablecoin, it's Tether, but with an asterisk. I don't know how I feel. I haven't really wrapped my brain around this, but we might see Tether on ADA from my insider. Will it happen or not? Who knows? All right. But yeah, very bullish, folks. Very bullish. Now, that is going to be basically our show for today. I was going to do Pavel Durov's Freedom Screed here, but we all know how I feel about freedom. I think you guys agree on freedom, but he's just basically saying how these dystopian measures, digital IDs in the UK, online age checks for Australia, just use the internet, mass scanning of private messages all over the European Union, Germany prosecuting anyone who criticizes officials, UK imprisoning tens of thousands of people for tweets and Facebook memes. He's just basically saying a dark dystopian world is approaching fast while we're asleep. We've been fed a lie. We are running out of time. Folks, freedom is what we stand for. It's what I stand for, and it's what I think you stand for. So smash that like button if you stand for freedom. Let's put a like out there for freedom. And folks, that is going to be our show for today. Gold video, 10:30 a.m. tomorrow. We're going to talk about just the math. I go into the math. I don't go crazy with the spreadsheets or nothing, but we just go over the Bitcoin gold chart. How many ounces of gold is each Bitcoin worth? Right now, I want to say it's around 30 something, but it's been all over the place, and there is movement to get higher. How high? You're going to have to watch the video. I back this up with just statistical probabilities, man. That's all we got here. Special guest, Peter Schiff. Maybe I'll make fun of Peter Schiff in it, but that'll be about it. Smash the like buttons on the way out, folks. I do appreciate your support. Thank you for hanging out with the DZ exclusive stream. Links below if you want to trade on L Bank. We have all our sponsors down there. So help us out, support that. You support us. See you in the future.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.